This is a story called The Little Monsters at Christmas, Chapter 58, To Give to the Poor and Needy at Christmas. After their success with the Christmas trees and decorations, the kids decided that they wanted to do more to help the poor and needy at Christmas. However, they weren't sure exactly what they wanted to do. Then Stumpy said, "Hey guys, I have an idea." "Uh-oh, let me guess. You want to go somewhere where there's food so that you can eat everything in sight," said Stampy. Everyone laughed and then Stumpy said, "Very funny, Stampy. Actually, that's not what I was going to suggest." Excuse me. Everyone laughed and then Grumpy said, "What were you going to suggest, Stumpy?" "Well, I think that we should have and organise our fundraising. I think that we should have and organise our fundraising event." "I'm sure Sarah, the manager of the club, will allow us to use the club for it." "Hey, that's a brilliant idea. Come on, let's go and see Sarah," said Bumpy. They all went to see Sarah at the club, and when they got there, Stumpy said, "Sarah, we want to hold and organise our own fundraising event to help the poor and needy at Christmas. We'll sell raffle tickets and give out prizes, and we'll go around with donation buckets before we go on stage to perform. During the intervals and then afterwards for 3 nights. The thing is, we don't have anywhere to hold it, and we were wondering if we could have it here, please." "Yes, of course, and me and my staff will help you sell the raffle tickets and collect donations. When were you guys hoping to have it?" said Sarah. "We were hoping maybe next weekend," said Stumpy. "Next weekend's fine, as I haven't booked any entertainment for that weekend yet," said Sarah. "Oh, thanks, Sarah," said Stumpy. "You're welcome, guys," said Sarah. After they'd finished talking to Sarah, the kids went to school. When they got there, they went to Mrs. Scott's office, and Creeper said to her, "Miss, we're holding and organising our own fundraising event to raise money for the poor and needy, and we were wondering if we can use the school computers to design and print some flyers. We were also wondering if we can sell raffle tickets around the school, please." "Yes, of course you can use the school computer and sell your raffle tickets, but only during playtime and lunchtime though," said Mrs. Scott. "OK, miss, thank you," said the gang. "You're welcome, guys. Before you go, I'd like to buy 10 raffle tickets and to give you £100 towards your charity fund. If you come and see me at home time after you've picked up your brothers and sisters, I'll give you the money then, if that's OK," said Mrs. Scott. "That's fine, miss, and thank you," said Kicker. Then they all left Mrs. Scott's office and went to registration. When they got there, they were 5 minutes late, and Kicker said to Mr. Pease, "I'm sorry we're late, sir. We were talking to Mrs. Scott in her office." "Yes, I know, Kicker. I saw you guys arrive at school and go to Mrs. Scott's office. I've already put you all down on the register," said Mr. Pease. "OK, thanks, sir. By the way, sir, we're holding our own fundraising event, and Mrs. Scott said that we can sell raffle tickets, and we were wondering if you or anyone else in the class would like to buy some, sir," said Kicker. Yes, I'd like to buy some, please. By the way, how are you going to advertise your event? Said Mr. Pease. Mrs. Scott said we can use the school computer to design and print the flyers during lunchtime and playtime, said Creeper. Well, that's not going to give you much time. You have a study period for 2 hours this afternoon and no other lessons. You can use that time to finish doing your flyers if you want. There's no lesson in the computer room either this afternoon, so I'm sure Mrs. Scott won't mind you using it, said Mr. Pease. Thanks, sir, said the gang. During playtime, Mrs. Scott went over to the kids and said, you kids are more than welcome to use the computer room this afternoon during your study period, if you like, and don't forget to come and see me before you go home. No, we won't, miss, answered Kicker. That afternoon, the kids stayed in the computer room, and between them they managed to finish and print off the flyers. Mrs. Scott had already given them permission to put some up around the school. Sarah, the club manager, had already given them permission to put them up around the club. They also went around the shops and asked permission to put their flyers up, and all the managers said yeah. They even bought raffle tickets and gave them money to put in their donation boxes. Already they'd raised over £2,000. Their fundraising event was organised for 4 nights, which were Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Leading up to the event, they rehearsed constantly. They used any spare time they had to go busking, doing extra chores at home and babysitting. They put some of the money they earned in their donation boxes, and they used the rest to buy empty boxes and food to make Christmas hampers for the poor and needy. When they'd bought everything they needed with the help of the little kids, they filled up the boxes, and Stumpy's dad took them out in his van to deliver them. Every house they went to, the occupants were extremely grateful. The next day at school, the little ones included, managed to sell loads of raffle tickets. The prizes for the kids were a hamper of toys each for the little ones, a £100 shopping voucher for the older kids, and a £200 voucher each for the adults. However, the school raffle draw wasn't going to be held until a week after the fundraiser, to give the kids enough time to get the prizes together. The club raffle was to be drawn on the last night of the fundraiser. Any spare time that the kids had, they used it to rehearse, busk, to hand out hampers, to sell raffle tickets, babysitting and shopping for stuff for the hampers. On the first night of the fundraiser, the kids went round with donation buckets and selling raffle tickets before they went on stage. They were a bit nervous, but they were really excited, and once they got on stage and began singing, their nervousness disappeared. They set to perform twice on each night, and that first night, at the end of the first half, they got a standing ovation. Then the little ones sang, and they too got a standing ovation. During the interval, the gang went round with donation buckets and selling raffle tickets. In the second half, the gang and the little kids sang 2 songs together, and then the gang performed alone. That night, they all went back to Kicker's house for the sleepover. When they got there, they were all exhausted, so they all just went straight to bed. Mrs. Scott gave them permission to have the next day off, which was Friday, because she knew that they'd be exhausted from the night before. Monday was the teacher training day, so the whole school had the day off. On the second day of their fundraiser, the kids spent the day rehearsing, shopping and packing and delivering Christmas hampers to the poor and needy. That day before they went to school, before they went to the club, they counted all the money they'd raised so far, and already they'd raised £18,000, and of course they weren't finished yet. That second night of the fundraiser, the gang sang 3 songs with the little kids. Then the little kids sang together, and then they sang. After an hour and a half, they took an half-hour break. During that time, they had a glass of pop and some crisps each, and then they went round with their donation buckets and selling raffle tickets. Then they went back on stage. They performed for an hour and a half again. Then they had another drink each, and then they went back to Creeper's house for the sleepover. The next day, they decided not to count the money they'd raised the second night. They decided to wait until the event was over with. The third day, before going to the club, they rehearsed for a couple of hours, and then they went shopping. When they got back, they made up some more Christmas hampers, and then Stumpy's dad took them out to deliver them. When they got back, they played on Stumpy's PlayStation and Xbox until it was time to go to the club. That night, only the gang performed. Excuse me. They performed for an hour and a half, and then they took an half-hour break. During the break, they had a drink and something to eat, and then they went down with their donation buckets and selling raffle tickets. When they went back on stage, they performed for another hour and a half, and then they went back to Stumpy's house for a sleepover. The next day was Sunday and the last day of their fundraiser. They spent the day shopping and packing and delivering Christmas hampers to the poor and needy. That last night, the kids performed for an hour and a half again, and then they took a break. During the break, they announced the winners of the raffle tickets. Someone asked them how much money they'd raised so far, but they said they didn't know, and as soon as they did know, they'd let everyone know. Also, during that break, several business owners came up to them and gave them cheques and cash. Mr. Joker, the joke shop owner, gave them a cheque for £2,000. Another shop owner gave them a cheque for £5,000. Sarah, the club manager and owner, gave them a cheque for £20,000, as she'd been collecting donations when the kids weren't there. That night, the kids stayed at Bumpy's for the sleepover. The next day, they worked out how much they'd raised, and it was a whopping £150,000. However, they still weren't finished, as they were determined to raise a whole lot more. They went busking and carol singing, and they helped people pack their bags in the local supermarket, and quite a lot of them put donations in their donation buckets. They also babysat and did extra chores for their parents to earn money. Most of the money they earned went in their donation buckets, and the rest they used to buy food so they could hand out more Christmas hampers to the poor and needy. What they didn't realise is that their parents were so proud of them that they went out and bought each of them, including the little kids, a bunch of early Christmas presents each. The gang all got the Xbox and PlayStation games they all wanted, and they all got the same ones so they could interact with each other. They also got some new clothes that their parents knew they wanted. The little kids all got new bikes, new safety helmets, toys and clothes. When the gang put every penny they'd raised together, it came to a whopping £170,000. They couldn't believe it. They were even on the news and in the newspapers again. They were very proud of themselves and what they'd achieved, and their parents in the school were very proud of them too. End of chapter 58. Hope you like it, guys. Hope you like it, guys. Merry Christmas. Love yous. Bye.